Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of Caution Laps with Casey Bristow, the official NSRLA podcast. I am your host, Casey Bristow, driver number 11 in all three series of the NSRLA. I am the media guy, and now I am a podcaster. This is my first podcast, so everyone please bear with me, but this is going to be a lot of fun. We have an outstanding guest with us today, Mr. Morgan Cook. He is an amazing iRacer and a great announcer. He announces for VSpeed. And the objective of the show today is just to get to know Morgan a little bit better. So without further ado, let's welcome our guest, Mr. Morgan Cook.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, everyone. Thank you very much for having me, Casey. A lot of fun to be here. Obviously, being the first guest is quite an honor,
Yeah.
and I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, a few people, I got to give you some credit. A few people reached out to me about doing a podcast, and when we started doing the media thing for NSRLA, I was just kind of like, it might as well have called it the NSRLA magazine or newspaper because I was just sending people questions through DM and letting them answer them on their own time and just copying and pasting what they said and what the result was. I put it in the media page, but you and I think Mark Cofield suggested doing a podcast, and I'm like, that sounds cool, but I don't know how to do any of that. And you're like, well, why don't you just there's a way to audio record, and look at us now, about a week and a half later.
Yeah, here we are. It only takes a little seed sometimes to be able to grow these things into pretty cool little events like the podcast. But I got to give you big props as well for being the media guy. I've covered a few dozen leagues in my V Speed time and my racing time as well. And I think you are the only person I can remember who's a dedicated media person for a league. And you do a lot of really fantastic stuff, giving people who don't necessarily get a chance to have their top three interview. This obviously our truck series isn't broadcasted, but to get an interview, and you're able to basically have them share their day, share their story, and let us know kind of what happened for them during a race, which is a pretty cool point of view. So big props to you for doing that.
Yeah, I want everybody's voice to be heard because when it's a streamed race, only the top three get to share their piece on how the race went, and usually, sometimes the races there's some drama that unfolds there late, and I want to get people's raw emotional response to what happened. So like if someone gets wrecked out early, if we're under caution, I'm sending them a direct message. Hey, what happened there? Can you tell me what happened? And I encourage people to just be honest. And it usually they give me a pretty good, genuine response. So it's a lot of fun, and just hope to continue to keep doing it. And I'd say about 60% of the people I reach out to answer. So we got a good thing going.
That's gonna be my question: is how many times do you get no comment? I know I've sent you one of those. I don't want to talk about this race. We're gonna move on past this one, sort of responses. But I mean, 40% a non-response rate is pretty good, all things considered. Over half the people want to talk to you at any given time. So, props to that.
Yeah, I'd say, well, a lot of it has been, believe it or not, people were like, oh, I just saw this message and it's like 2 days later. And I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll just catch you next race because what I like to do is get people's reactions, their opinions on the race, and then I kind of combine it all into one big. I mean, I use Chat GPT to kind of help me a little bit. So, like, I'm like, this is what they said. Give me your full breakdown. I am not smart enough to do. I mean, I can barely write a paragraph. Uh, Writing is not my thing, but thankful that we have the technology that we have today. Um, but anyway, so yeah, Morgan Cook. Let's talk about you. Who is Morgan Cook?
It hit me with the broadest question first. My goodness. Well, obviously, I'm an iRacer. I've been iRacing since 2020. Sim racing for a lot longer, since I was 8 or so. I've been doing some sort of racing games on Xbox or PlayStation or PC or whatever the case is. A father, I have a daughter who's about to turn 1 here in just a little bit, married to my wonderful wife, and we live in southeast Saskatchewan. So I am a Canadian, is another thing that I am. I also do the broadcasting thing, as you mentioned, with VSpeed, and I do a bunch of things across the sim racing space. Usually behind the scenes, I'm not typically in front of the camera, but one of the people who help try and drive forward leagues or various groups through organization and whatever the case is. So I do a lot in the sim racing space. A lot of it goes unnoticed, but it's fun nonetheless, and it fills my time.
Hey, the photo that you have for your little Discord, it's very professional looking. So I could definitely see you, like if you were writing a news article for NASCAR or iRacing or whatever local Canadian short track. It like I could definitely see your photo being on there. It's very professional, very polished. You're very good at what you do.
Appreciate that. And yeah, that photo is for my day job as a data engineer. So
Well, that was
all this sim racing stuff is just my what I do in the evenings, but my during the day is all data.
Well, that was going to kind of be my next question. It kind of falls under. Tell us about Morgan Cook. Like, what do you do for a living? You know, do you have any hobbies besides iRacing? Did you grow up playing sports? Were you a NASCAR fan growing up? Stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely was a NASCAR fan growing up. Kyle Busch fan since he moved to Gibbs in '08, and have just slowly been, you know, stepping away from NASCAR, considering he is, an afterthought most weekends. And I find iRacing to be more enjoyable at this stage anyway. Because the racing is typically tighter than it is in NASCAR now. Everything's spec, unless you're doing open races, of course. So that leads me back to the sim racing, iRacing sort of gig. Um, Forget your other questions. Hobbies, I mostly just play games. I play video games and do the iRacing thing, the broadcasting, whatever have you. It takes up the majority of my time, and of course, raising a daughter also
Oh
takes
yeah.
up a ton of time because kids are quite something. Um, so yeah, just trying to kind of fit everything into the same schedule is difficult, and that's pretty much all I can handle.
Yeah, they take up a lot of your time, but it's got. I mean, I can only imagine what a wonderful blessing it is to watch your child grow up and to be a father. So um, that's what my father told me and my brother. He said it was a wonderful blessing to be able to raise us. So I can imagine it's the same feeling for you.
Yeah, certainly special to. I mean, it's been just under a year, and the immense growth that she's had is really spectacular. And I work from home, so I
Okay.
get the opportunity to see her on a regular basis, and it's nice to have that opportunity. You also asked about sports growing up and all that stuff. I didn't play any sports growing up. I am terribly injury prone,
Oh.
and that's why I try and do hobbies that have me sitting down, like sim racing. It's a lot harder to hurt yourself if you're already sitting down.
Yeah, if you hurt yourself in sim racing, something is terribly wrong. I mean, I guess the
Terribly, terribly wrong.
percentage isn't zero,
That's right.
but I mean,
I have jarred my wrist on the wheelbase from like an intentional wreck or kind of an I don't know, unexpected incident with the force feedback. So that it has happened, but nothing like terribly painful. So that's good.
so you're not a big sports guy playing wise, but are you a big sports guy in terms of being a fan, being
Yeah, certainly,
being Canadian?
certainly.
Obviously, when we think of Canada, we think of hockey. But fun fact, I know I have a little bit of Canadian history knowledge. Hockey is not Canada's national sport. It is lacrosse.
Lacrosse, it is. You're right.
I was a bit
You're
of a
right.
lax bro back in the day for a little bit.
Right
Uh,
on. Right on.
who are your teams that you support?
Indianapolis Colts in the NFL. Big
Doing
fan
very
of them.
well.
Have been
Doing very well.
since 20. They are have been since 2012 when Luck got drafted. I also support the Minnesota Timberwolves. Was a fan of Andrew Wiggins and now Anthony Edwards, among other players on the team. Of course, I don't do a ton of following of hockey, but when I do, it's the Vegas Golden Knights.
Mm.
My friends always bugged me with being a bandwagoner because I didn't have a team I cheered for. My parents weren't sports fans, so it was just kind of pick a team, didn't really matter who. And then when Vegas started their franchise in 2017, I thought this is probably a good time to just pick a team because you're there from the very ground floor. And here we are, a Stanley Cup and a bunch of playoff appearances later, and people still call me a bandwagoner. So I guess I
No,
lose either way.
I wouldn't call you a
Um,
bandwagoner, especially if they what would you say they formed in 27 because they went to the Stanley Cup.
2017,
They went to the Stanley
the,
Cup
the first
their
year,
first
yeah,
year. They played against my Capitals. My Caps won that Stanley Cup. It
they did.
was a very good series. But they've Vegas got their Stanley Cup not too long ago, and so good for them.
Right.
You're definitely not a bandwagon. Just ignore those guys.
Yeah, I do. And then the Astros are my baseball team. So
Oh
kind of all
boy,
over the states,
yeah.
just kind of all over the place. So, and I cheer for them because I was a fan of Bregman. I liked his story. He bet on himself, got drafted. I don't remember where. It wasn't a very
Boston.
good position
Oh,
to the
oh,
to Boston, and then went back to the draft the year later, a couple years later, and got drafted second overall to the Stros. So bet on himself, and it paid off
oh. You know what?
immensely. So love
I'm
the story.
sorry. I've totally messed up. He plays for Boston now.
He does play for
Yeah,
Boston
sorry.
now. Yes,
That I messed that up. Oops. Um. Yeah, you're definitely all over with your sports teams, but you like what you
sure
like.
am. That's right.
Are you a
Yeah.
fan of Minnesota because they're close by, or I think you said Edwards and Wiggins? Aren't they both Canadian guys, or Wiggins is the Canadian?
Edwards is not. Edwards from Atlanta. Wiggins is from Toronto though, and sort of
Okay.
that area. And that was the main reason is he was supposed to be the next big thing in the NBA. He also happened to be Canadian. That was good. It was an easy thing to latch onto for me. They are also the closest team to me, so that makes it easier to cheer for because they are theoretically just a road trip away. It's only about 10 hours away by car. So yeah, that's why I choose Minnesota, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's interesting.
there's a few pro teams in not Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Right.
It is the CFL team, the Rough
Yeah,
Riders.
there's two. The Rough Riders, they just won their championship, the Grey Cup,
Good,
for I
good
think
for
the
them.
fifth time overall. And then the lacrosse team, for the Rush based out of Saskatoon. They're the National Lacrosse League kind of entry for Saskatchewan. Those are the only two professional teams, as far as I'm aware, at least for men's sports in the province. I'm sure that there are professional women's teams as well, but I am not sure what their level is in terms of professionalism in their various leagues. So there are a lot of hockey teams, but there aren't any professional hockey teams. They're all semi-pro or amateur teams.
Right, probably a lot of junior teams. One junior team I know
Tons.
is the Saskatoon Blades. They're one of the bigger ones, and they're WHL, correct?
Yes, they are. Yeah, they're in the dub, and they. I used to do some volunteer work for the Pats, who are their arch rivals, of course,
Regina,
but
yeah,
out
Regina
of
Pats.
Regina. That's
Yeah,
that's right. So when I lived up there for a little bit, so yeah, they are arch rivals, and yeah, they're both in the dub along with Moose Jaw Warriors, and the list goes on and on and on and on of the WHL teams in Saskatchewan. I think there's 8 or 10 of them, because hockey is like the lifeblood of this place. There's just everyone has either played hockey or is a hockey fan or is sitting in the chair I'm sitting in right now.
would you
That's that's the Venn diagram.
would you say that's the Canadian culture itself, or central Canada being Saskatchewan and
I
Alberta
think
area?
Saskatchewan for sure, just because there's not a ton else to do here, other than strap on the skates and play hockey. There's not not a ton else to do. It's frozen most of the year. It's flat, so you can pretty much play hockey wherever
Mm.
because hills aren't going to bother you. Yeah, so I think that's just the nature of the province.
Well, I was going to ask you, what are some of the things that you like to do with your wife and kid in Saskatchewan? Isn't Saskatchewan kind of more foresty nature like, whereas Alberta is more like oil fields? Am I kind of in the right ballpark of that? It's okay if I'm not.
Uh, no, not well, sort of. I mean, you're not completely wrong. The top 2/3 of Saskatchewan is all forests. That's basically all forests and lakes. The bottom third, where all the people are, is either um, farmland. It's for cattle or it's for oil. and cold.
Mm,
That's
okay.
pretty much it. There are not very many trees south of like Prince Albert, which is like about at the 1/3 mark of the province.
Prince Albert.
Um,
I haven't heard that
yeah,
name in a
whereas
long time. Home of the Raiders.
yes, this is true. One of the other dub teams. Um, this has gotten way off the rails too. We are we're
Well,
talking about the dub in an iRacing podcast. Who had have thought, eh?
well, like I said, it's more about getting to know you. But I mean, I guess that's a perfect opportunity to jump right into our past race this Monday, the Diesel Laptops Truck Series at playoff race at Talladega. What a wild one that one was, huh?
Yeah, it was something. I mean, I think I mentioned it to you that, and a few other people kind of echoed my sentiment, is that super speedways just bring out the absolute worst in people. I mean, they're and I think everyone agrees with me when I say this. They're not the hardest racetracks to drive. They're probably the easiest to drive, just period, because it's hold it wide open and just turn left and don't hit the apron or the wall. Right? It's pretty straightforward. As far as like actually driving by yourself, of course, you add the other cars on the racetrack, it gets more difficult because you're racing in a pack now. It's a completely different style of racing from everything else, but everybody has a chance to win those races, as you know, and it makes everybody drive like they are the late Dale Senior, because everyone thinks they can see the air. Everyone thinks that they can drive from 16th to first in one lap to win the thing. It's just like it's so hard to race with people on those racetracks because everyone thinks they're a superstar.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys are going three wide and kind of making some squirrely moves. I thought way too early, and I mean, a lot of us end up paying the price for it, especially at the end. Some black flags came into play. I know it affected my race, unfortunately, and I had 20 incident points, and I think I was responsible for about four of them.
Right.
But it's just, that's the nature of racing. I'm not upset at anybody in NSRLA. I'm just frustrated because I crossed the line first, and I think I got credited per iRacing. It said 15th, but after after the heads of the league reviewed everything, I haven't seen a final results yet. But it is what it is. Walk us through your race and what you think you could have done to contend for the win. I thought you had a very strong truck. You were making some great moves. Just what happened that kind of took you out.
Yeah, no, good question. So we'll start off with just before the race. Obviously, first race of the playoffs, right? Had a fantastic regular season. And I know that to move to the next round, all I have to do basically is end up um, 70 points ahead of the cut line, and I basically automatically clinch my way into the next round. So that was what was on my mind, is debating whether I go for stage points and just riding around the back for the end, or whether I just try and charge at the end and hope for the best and hope that the points take care of themselves. Um, so I tried to get stage points in stage one. All my teammates and affiliates were riding the high side. They were lined up 4 cars deep, like on the very top lane. Tried to go up there and just fell like a rock. Like that lane just did not work. So kind of cost myself stage one points. That was frustrating. Avoided accidents in stage one, which was great. Stage two got a little more aggressive and kind of started to do it solo. Um, Ran up in the top five for a good chunk of the stage, and especially near the end, I think I came down um, with 2 to go in the stage or at the white flag. I was up in the top 3 or 4 and fell back to eighth because again, I just kind of got put in a bad spot. I went to the high side to try and move around somebody to avoid something, and the hole got filled, and I fell back. So eighth in the stage, lost or got a couple points. And then the final stage was, I was like, okay, well, I didn't get any, basically got no stage points, no bonus points. I led one lap. I'm going to have to push for it and really try and get after it. And I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. I think the first incident I was in was with the 89 and the 97 when there was a move made that, or that was the second one. I forget what the first one was. I got caught up in an accident, used fast repair, whatever. And then coming down to the end, I think we're with like 5 laps to go or something. Pollock and I were trying to get around Mark for the lead, and the 89 put the truck in the middle and drove into the side of the 97, who came up into me, and we all crashed, and it just destroyed the truck. I was up in the air, and then I got drilled by somebody later, like on that, like the ARCA braked me, and I just got annihilated. So, truck was destroyed. I had 190 degrees of play in the wheel. Like when it was pointed 30 degrees to the left, I was going straight-ish, and then to turn, I had to turn it all the way around, and it was pointed like at my uh, at my right leg to get the wheel to turn. Like, it was awful. It was destroyed.
Mm-mm-mm.
Um, and somehow, through all of the carnage of the last lap and all the black flags, I was able to just kind of slowly but surely tortoise and hare my way through the accident. And I came home ninth across the line with all the black flags fifth, as a final result. Unofficially, officially, I'm not really sure
Yeah, I have
where
no
the
clue.
where the results are at, but I think it's official. I don't really know though. Regardless, I finished fifth. So all in
Yeah.
all, it went well, but I think the only winners in that race are the people who were on the couch and didn't race in it.
Yeah, I tried. I was like, all right, we got Morgan, who's very good here in the race, and I got behind you, and we were on the bottom lane, and then I think you went up into the middle lane. I was like, oh, the bottom lane in that race was my friend. I did not like being in that center lane. It was not a lot of fun because people were just kind of going crazy and getting after it, and it seemed to really work for me. Um, but yeah, just some typical Talladega. It's either going to
For sure.
be clean freight train type of racing with one caution or absolute chaos. And, if I'm a fan in the stands watching that, I'm like, oh, awesome. Because, fans love to see wrecks. But you're doing good in the playoff standings right now. You're still in first. You got a 73 plus points gap to the cutoff. I'm not too far behind you in sixth with plus 27. So, all in all, we got out of there unscathed in terms of points.
Yeah, for sure. I would really hate to be one of those drivers who did not have a good regular season and barely made it into the playoffs, and then have Talladega as the first race you have to deal with. Like, that is tough, because again, a lot of you mentioned it. You had those 20 X's, and maybe four of them were things that you caused yourself. It's hard to get away from Talladega unscathed, as you mentioned. So, you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah,
Now
it's
we go to
just
Rockingham, which is not an easy track at all.
no,
So,
no.
like, it's a really like driver's racetrack. So if you're struggling at all, and you're down there in the points, that eighth, 10th, 12th area, you're probably feeling it right now. You're probably a little nervous about kind of where you're at. Obviously, I'm safe. I'm clinched to the next round. So Rockingham is just for more bonus points for me, and try and get another trophy. For you, I'm sure you're probably feeling pretty good about it as well. 26, 27 up on the cut line. So you're probably looking for just a nice solid day, and move on to the next round and see if we can go chase down a championship.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a race of survival because the last time I raced at Rockingham, I think you remember we were in the
Yeah, I do.
Xfinity
I race
series.
controlled it. Yeah,
It was just, I don't want to say it was any fault of my own. I just kind of got caught up in a really bad wreck early. Xfinity, the Downtown Auto Sales National Series, excuse me.
of
Um,
course.
and there was a big checkup, and there's nowhere for me to go, and that car was just toast from lap two on, and I just, putted around. But um, so VSpeed, tell us about that. How did you get involved, and how did you find this skill of announcing races?
Question. Good question. So we'll start off with the skill of announcing races first. So I mentioned I've been a racing fan since about 2005 was when I started watching NASCAR. Really got into it since 2006 2007, and where I'm from in southeast Saskatchewan, there is a local dirt track called Estevan Motor Speedway. So it's a 3/8 mile uh, banked dirt oval. They run IMCA modified stock cars, hobby stocks, and a few other things here and there. They have a big late model tour that comes through here, modified tour comes through here. It's a fairly popular racetrack in the area. And when I was like 13, 14, 15, I was a commentator for the racetrack, something that I did because I knew a lot about racing, and it was just fun. My dad was race director at times. I was an official there for a long time, so that's kind of where I got my start doing it, and learned from some pretty good commentators who were there, been doing it for a while, and learned some cool tips and tricks, and it was a lot of fun. And then we get into the iRacing thing, and I kind of forget about the broadcasting part of it and just get to racing. I'm racing in a league called VSRL, which is on a hiatus right now. In their one of their truck series seasons, um, I was just doing my thing, and as you know, top three get interviews. And I had a string of like 5 races in a row where I was getting like top three interviews. It was a really good year for me, or a good stretch of that year for me anyway. So I'd interview Bradley Cooper, who, as you know, one of the co-owners of VSpeed. Like I didn't
Not
remember
to
what
be
day it was.
confused with the
Monday.
actor.
Yeah, no, there's only one, and he works for VSpeed. Um, the real Bradley Cooper. Anyway, so I get all these interviews, and every week it's the same sort of thing. I do this, I do a good sponsor read. I'm joking around with them, and we got to talking, and I'm like, I'm kind of interested in doing this. Like, what do you think? He's like, let's fire it up. And this was October of 23. November of 23, I built a new computer, did my first show in January of 24, and from there I've done over 150 shows for VSpeed, and along with a couple others from other broadcasting companies across iRacing. And yeah, I'd definitely say that VSpeed has helped me significantly in my iRacing career. Both being able to learn from fantastic drivers and be able to watch a ton of races of some of the best drivers I've ever seen on iRacing.
Wow, yeah, you are very talented at what you do. I just I don't know how you do it. Like I think I'm holding my own decently here, but like you go, I mean, sometimes you're calling races by yourself for up to an hour and a half, and it's just like it's some elite talent. Not many people can do it, and for someone like me, when I was looking for leagues to run in, I would go on YouTube and whatever, type in something for iRacing. This car is at this track iRacing, and it was all about the broadcast. If there was a good broadcast, that's what kind of would get me hooked. Um, it's a good broadcast, good production makes a big difference.
It definitely does. I mean, you can carry a bad racing product with good polish, right? Or you can tank a great racing product with bad polish, right? You kind of need both to go together to put on a good show. And we found some great racing across V Speed. For the most part, there have definitely been some tough races that we've all endured, and we all know, like what we're talking about. There have been races. Every league has races that make you go like, ooh, we just don't talk about that one anymore. But for the most part, fantastic racing across all of V Speed, and I'd like to think pretty good productions as well. Whether it's Bradley or Adam or Eddie or Logan or myself or whoever the case is, Lucas. The list goes on and on of various producers and commentators that we have over there. So we all try and put the best show on as possible.
Yeah, you got and I'm assuming you call the races from your game room, man cave, whichever you prefer to call it.
Right. You
Yeah,
bet.
I got this same thing. Got my own little game room type of thing. It's kind of
Nice.
small, but it's got a TV, we got a couch, we got the computer, and we're covered in Denny Hamlin memorabilia. It's my driver. I've healed from
I know.
since
I know.
Phoenix. I've healed. I'm okay. Um, so we found this mutual fellowship in iRacing, which I think it's a really great thing. You get to meet tons and tons of wonderful people, and I can't imagine what the production is like behind the scenes for something like V Speed. But in terms of iRacing, what changes would you like to see? Whether it's like incident points or certain cars or certain tracks, what would you like to see be added in the future? Because it's constantly growing.
You're talking about like iRacing itself?
iRacing itself, yes.
I think getting the choose rule added on oval stuff would be pretty cool. I think that would alleviate a lot of the frustration that leagues have when it comes to choosing for restarts, because choosing definitely makes the racing product better from what I've seen. Um, yeah, honestly, I'm pretty happy with iRacing the way that it is. I'm really not. I'm not one of those people who just is like, I need more. Like I have a bit of a programming background with the data world. I understand how difficult it is to build things, and I understand how difficult it is to maintain things as well. So I'm pretty impressed with the way iRacing is built on that 2000 that NR 2003 code base, and it's able to still do what it does today. Um, a graphics refresh at some point would be interesting to see. Of course, we just had the UI update.
Hmm.
I mean, having all of because a lot of us use three or third party black boxes, right? Being
Right.
able to have those in iRacing natively would be kind of nice. Things like radar, if that was available, or some better fuel calculators, et cetera, would be kind of nice to have, like so that you don't need a sim hub or a race labs or whatever the case is, or caps, or the list goes on and on. To have that built in iRacing, and better VR support as well for those third party apps would be cool. But I mean, those are all like so far down the list of things that I'm worried about. I'm quite pleased with the service. If I wasn't pleased with it, I wouldn't still be here.
Yeah, I hear you. I have my own opinions on what I'd like to see added and whatnot, but my perspective is more of like I'd like to see this car be added, this series be added. There's a lot of series that just don't get touched, and I feel bad for them because they're just sitting there, not maybe one person's in the lobby and they're never being raced. So maybe send some of those series over to AI and let us run them in AI. But Morgan, we are nearing the end. It's been really fantastic having you on. I've had a lot of fun getting to talk to you and get to know you. I want to end it on just some rapid fire random questions. Again, it's just to get to know you,
Sure.
just some fun little stuff. So here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No. Hard no.
Yeah, okay, me too. Absolutely not. Morning person or night owl?
Morning person.
Yep, same here. Love my mornings. What's your favorite holiday?
Oh, none of them.
None of them?
Thanksgiving probably.
Okay,
Yeah, not a holiday person.
gotcha. Favorite movie or TV show now or growing up?
Shawshank Redemption,
Okay,
probably
very good
favorite
movie.
movie.
Good movie. Good movie. And if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
The ability to influence anyone to do anything.
So the Force.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
just persuasion, really. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a superpower, but it's also just a thing that people can do. I just wish
Yeah.
I was able to be more persuasive.
Yeah, that would be a good one. But I mean, like, Star Wars, the Force, they persuade people, they're weak-minded. Hey, you will do this, and it works fine. So, but yeah,
Little more natural than that, though.
but Morgan, hey, this has been absolutely fantastic. I loved having you on the show. Thank you so much. And yeah, I look forward to. You got any VSpeed events coming up?
So many. Yeah, there's tons of stuff happening on VSpeed. There's the MRL 500 is coming up here in a few months. That's going to uh, essentially take over for what was the Podium 500. Will be on VSpeed as far as I know. That one I'm quite looking forward to, both
Podium 500.
potentially
What's that?
racing in it. That is a big Daytona 500 event where there are hundreds and hundreds of people, potentially even thousands, that come in and try and race the event.
Wow.
And you have heat races and duels and qualifying, and to try and boil it down to the best 40. And then those 40 race for the big prize, the thousands of dollars to win, that sort of thing. PGR is a similar one, which is the next week. Lots of great racing there. We got leagues starting up here in January and February. The Rudolph 250 is coming up here in a few weeks. That's a short track event at North Wilkesboro. Tons and tons of stuff on V Speed always. Just definitely want to keep it locked here if you haven't already.
Yeah, well, keep me updated. I'm going to definitely have to come tune in and come support you, and as you've been supportive of me with the media team and whatnot. But yeah, I know there's some big things with iRacing too coming up, Snowball Derby, and then before we know it, the 24 Hours of Daytona, and
Yeah,
yeah,
Chili Bowl's coming up pretty soon too.
yeah, some big stuff. So. All right, everyone. Looks like that's going to wrap up today. The first episode of Caution Laps with Casey Bristow. Uh, Morgan, thank you for hanging out with us. I'm looking forward to announcing, we're not announcing, but doing this podcast with other members of the community. And yeah, let's just hope that this has, set a snowball effect for, um, a great podcast.
Yeah, let's hope. And thanks for having me, Casey. Appreciate the time. We'll see you around.
All right. Thank you.